Hi guys. Sorry, I speak no Swedish, even though I've been here way longer than I should without being able to speak anything. But I'm Lydia Winters, as she said. I'm the director of fun at Mojang. We made a game called Minecraft, which you might know, play, have heard of. First, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do, because no one understands my title, Director of Fun. It's kind of moved in the almost 3 years that I've been working there, and kind of transformed, as happens when you're in a small startup company, and then you kind of keep growing, and there are more than enough things to do, so you kind of take on new responsibilities. So one of my main things, and the thing I started with, was working with the community, and that included working on different events and working on any sort of launch plans, basically anything that goes out to all of the people who love our game. And then I've also moved into, which is the opposite of directing fun, into kind of being a brand gatekeeper. So I actually kind of keep people out. I delete my title on those emails because it feels a bit mean in some way to say like no and then director of fun. But so I work on all of our merchandise now. So the art director and I, we look at everything that goes out. I look at like the pixel on each little animal to make sure it's in the right spot, or oh, its face needs to look cuter, or this plush isn't soft enough. So that's kind of a broad range of things that I do. I work with Block by Block, which is our program with UN Habitat, which is pretty incredible to be a gaming company working with the UN. And I also work with Minecraft in education. So Director of Fun encompasses a broad range of things. And today I decided to talk about the thing that I know most about, which is myself. So I feel like I can kind of be an expert in this area, being me. So I titled it Life Lessons, just kind of things I've learned along the way. I feel like I'm an interesting example of kind of going along, having no idea what I'm doing, and kind of making it work. So let's see my little clicker here. So, life lessons. Sounds a bit more ominous than I thought. But, okay, so I graduated college, as you do, or you don't. My degree isn't really helping me currently. I graduated and thought like, okay, I know what I'm doing. And what I had decided to do was be an elementary education teacher, because people told me I had nice handwriting and that I should be a teacher from like the age of, I think when I was in 3rd grade, you have really good handwriting, you should be a teacher when you grow up. And I liked kids and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I thought, yeah, sure, okay. Like, I need to go into college and figure out something, so I will be a teacher. And then I started teaching, and this kind of was my feeling. I have made a huge mistake. And it doesn't feel that good the first year. And, you know, the first year of teaching, it is overwhelming, and you kind of know that it's going to be crazy. But it wasn't just feeling like it was crazy or a little overwhelming. It was feeling like actually like this weird picture is saying, like, I've made a mistake here, but how do I rectify it when I have taken time to go to school and like this is the path I picked? I had a great school that I was working at. I was teaching 4th graders, which are like 9 and 10-year-olds, and they were crazy, but I had a great class. And if all of these things have lined up so perfectly and I still count down the hours to get out, I decided that something was wrong. And I saw it as something that if I stayed, I could have kept doing it. I still liked my kids, I liked the other teachers, but did I want to live my life in a way where I was constantly wishing to be done with what I was doing? And so I feel like I wished my whole 21st year of life away as a teacher, because I kept like waiting for that next holiday and waiting for that next thing. And so I decided, okay, I have to do something else, but I actually don't know what I want to do. So I started dabbling in photography, and I was decent at it. I called myself a photographer, a professional photographer, a bit before I should have. But I started doing that, but I still felt like I was just floundering around with no real idea of what to do. So I came up with this idea, and this is the second lesson here, which is being yourself. So that's me. I came up with this idea where I wanted to raise money for breast cancer research. I've done genetic testing, and I have a very high risk, 86% chance of getting breast cancer. So I thought, like, I would really like to do something for this and make an impact. So I came up with this fundraiser through photography and getting all of these different people who were high up in the industry to actually do mentor sessions for other people that they could bid on. And I said, if I raise $10,000, I'll shave my head. And I thought, if I raise $2,000, I'll still shave my head, but I'm not going to tell anyone that. I'm going to try to go for $10,000, because that, like, I mean, I remember thinking, like, yeah, that is probably not going to happen, but whatever, I'll say it and maybe it will. The way I did this is part of the Be Yourself. I had started getting into making videos, and I thought, like, the photographers I'm emailing are getting like tons of emails every day from people asking them for things. So how can I ask them for something in a different way that seems a little more approachable? So I spared you by not actually pulling up any of the old videos, but I sat in front of my computer for hours and hours and made personalized videos for each photographer that I wanted to do something. So it's like, this is me kind of sitting at my computer. Click. Hi, Sarah. I'm Lydia, and I want to raise money for breast cancer research, and this is how you can help. And, like, look at my long hair. I'm going to shave it all off. And then I would send them out. And very quickly, I was able to get a huge response, like hugely positive, way more than I thought I had. By the end of it, I had like 50 brilliant photographers who were auctioning off their 1-hour photo mentor session to younger photographers or newer photographers. And I feel like part of that was because I did something that was a little different, but that felt kind of good to me. And I ended up raising $20,000, and then I shaved my head off on a live stream. And this was like, I mean, this was before I had any sort of following whatsoever. So when I shaved my head, my live stream had like maybe 100 people, and that was like every friend and family member and like person that I had known or talked to, like, please watch this. So it was kind of my first kind of exciting soiree into, wow, if you kind of meet with, like, you have a small circle of people that you know, and then you kind of, each of them knows another circle, and all of a sudden you're opening things up and meeting and being around a lot more people than you ever thought. But I think that was possible because I was trying to be myself, even though it's, you know, in a weird sort of that's me kind of way. And then once you are yourself, you have to kind of put yourself out there. So this is actually my job interview picture. Most people probably don't have one, but it just so happened I sent an email. I was making videos. This is where I kind of probably should have ordered it a little better, my presentation, but I started making videos, which we'll come to next. And I wanted to get in touch with Carl from Mojang because I thought, I'm going out to E3 in LA. They're Swedes. They're never in the US. I have to talk to them when they're there. And I wanted to do interviews for my channel. So I sent a cold email to Carl, having Googled his email address and kind of guessing, and said, like, hi, I'm Lydia. I have this channel. I have, like, I think at the time 20 or 30,000 subscribers on it. I'm going to E3 just to meet you guys, and if you need help with anything, I would love to help. Also, I was a teacher, so, you know, I have a degree, and I'm kind of serious person. So maybe that part wasn't exactly true. Serious as in, you know, kind of slightly professional. So I sent off that email kind of hoping that they would come back with like, yeah, we have some sort of, you know, job tasks to do. Like you could go like hand out flyers or like talk to different people about the game or whatever, like something pretty simple. And Carl writes back to me like, oh, this is so perfect that you emailed. We actually need someone to host the Sony Ericsson booth. Do you want to do it? I remember this like reading this email, and I was living at my parents' house, you know, as you do. When things get a little shaky in your 20s. And I was just like, this is like 1,000 times better than anything I ever could have imagined. And I'm not a person who does a great job of asking for things. Like I have this big fear of rejection, so I'm not particularly good at like asking something and then like, okay, their response may be yes or no. I know people who are awesome at that, and I always wish to have that sort of, like kind of move that into my personality, but I'm happy that in this instance, that's kind of what I did, with just like throwing it out there, I'm gonna be at E3. So I get to the booth and I'm like so excited and I just can't wait, and the first thing I do is like I get there and I see Marcus Notch, who, you know, I had been following online and was really excited to meet, and I said, oh, hi, I'm Lydia, and he's like, oh, nice to meet you. And I was like, oh, I'm Minecraft Chick, that's the online name I picked. Okay, good, nice to meet you. And I was like, he has no idea who I am. And like, that's a really good piece of humble pie, because I had been like, yeah, okay, they picked me because, you know, people know me. No, they picked me because I emailed a nice introduction email. So I kind of jumped into this booth, and in a series of awesome and life-changing events, someone asked me to introduce them to Carl, the CEO of Mojang, who I had just met with like maybe a couple hours before, and I said, sure, and I introduced her to him. And as I stepped away, because she was interviewing for a job or asking him about a job application, as I stepped away, he said to her, well, the thing is, you would have to move to Stockholm. Would you be willing to move to Stockholm? And being, you know, typically American, no fear of interrupting people, I turned around and said, like, well, I would move to Stockholm. But I'm not, you know, a 2D artist, which was the position. And Carl said, like, well, we want someone to work with the community, so let's talk later. And I was like, okay, awesome. Best kind of blurt out that I've probably ever made. And I just kind of put myself out there. By the end of the weekend, they were talking about me moving to Sweden and working for Mojang. I was looking up where Sweden was on the map. I'm not gonna lie. I remember being at E3 like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna Google this. Oh, so far north, keep scrolling up. Oh my God. But it kind of like, I think I just jumped into something. I didn't think as much on that trip of like how proper, or, you know, because proper is definitely not interrupting someone in a conversation you just introduced them to. But I kind of just was myself at that moment. Let's see. Okay, and yes, here's the embarrassing thing. So once you once you kind of figure out something that you want to do, whatever it is, and the whole weekend's about making things, do it. Just start. And that's kind of what I did here, as referenced by, so this is a video actually, and I decided, like, okay, I've waited too long. I want to start making videos. I had been making these really weird online videos, and I thought, I want to make it about a subject. Some friends recommended Minecraft. My head was shaved, so I didn't want to have my head shaved on my video, so someone had given me a pink wig because breast cancer research in the US is only pink, and I stuck it on and started playing. I didn't know how to walk because I've never played games before. I didn't know how to do anything, but I just started making videos, and I kind of started learning video editing and being in front of a camera. If you've never done it, it's very weird to talk to yourself the whole time. Like, I am doing this now. Oh, now I'm walking over here, and you're, imagining there's an audience there, but it's really just you. I didn't even know to make the game bigger so that it was actually full screen. My next episode, I think I have that. I was like pausing and Googling how to move in Minecraft, which in 2010 was not something that was like readily available online as it is now. Like now you can, the wiki's huge and you can find everything, but back then it was like, do I even just type walk? And then it's like, of course, WASD, but I had not gamed, so I didn't know. But I was able to gain experience through starting, and I started making daily videos about the game, and that's how, when I actually reached out to Carl, I had a big audience. Had I waited until everything was perfect or aligned, or like, oh yeah, I know exactly how this show will turn out, and I know exactly how everything will be, it probably never would have happened, because I would have just been wishing that it was a certain way, instead of just getting out there and making it. So I feel like these type of events, they're so impressive to me and inspiring, because it's about just getting your hands dirty and starting, and everything's not going to be perfect when you do it, but it's, maybe eventually will lead to, being on a stage in Stockholm, far away from your family, talking about it. So putting yourself out there. Then, yeah, so that's me talking, and I love the eye makeup, because I'm not going to make you watch it because it's way too long, but it's you have to kind of think about where you've been, and I haven't taken it offline, even though I'm super, super embarrassed by it, because it's just what it is. Everyone starts somewhere, and this really always reminds me of that. Being online, one of the things I've learned that's really important is taking the good and leaving the bad. By that I mean YouTube comments are vicious, but sometimes they're right. And that's in general, that's not just on YouTube, but it's in life. You have people who can kind of tell you, okay, maybe this wasn't the best idea, maybe you shouldn't do it that way. And then you have someone who just says something mean. And, at the beginning, it was hard to differentiate between them, because I would just feel like, oh, someone's attacking me, I feel so sad. But someone saying, hey, Lydia, I don't think that was your best work on that video, they're not just being a troll, they're not just being mean, they actually care about my channel and my videos and me as a person. And that, once I kind of was able to start looking at those and taking those criticisms, which still are not easy, or critiques, it's not that easy for anyone to like hear someone say something negative about you, but being able to weed those out and decide which ones actually will help you become better and which ones hurt you and you should just push away is something that has made a big difference in how I kind of maneuver the way that I am going along. Do what you love. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I kind of fell into making videos, fell into Minecraft, but each part of my job, I get to kind of infuse all of these things that I have learned about myself along the way. So even if you're dabbling and moving and it doesn't feel like you're going in like a certain direction, it might mean that you're learning all these things that later will help in this like big thing that comes up. And that's kind of how I feel. I've always loved being, talking. I've always loved talking. I kind of grew up like, I'm going to be a singer, model, and actress. Like, I was that kid. Like, we were always in front of cameras. My dad gave us microphones for Valentine's Day, my sister and I. Like, we were just like out there kind of people. And that was something that, you know, kind of worked specifically for this job. And then I put this little picture down at the bottom because I've been able to sing on different Minecraft parody songs that have, you know, now millions of views, which is kind of a crazy, awesome, weird fact that I'm totally humble bragging about, or not humble bragging, just bragging. But it's like that's something that I am able to infuse into what I'm doing. And then you have this like really bad picture of me. But I was in Kenya in this picture, in Kibera, which is one of the largest slums in Kenya, a place I definitely never, ever, ever thought that I would be. My sister always went out and did medical trips in foreign countries, and I was not a traveler. I didn't want to do any of that. And so it's kind of turned into something that I love, being able to not only travel, but being able to make a difference. And so kind of lumping any sort of weird things that I like into what I'm doing now, whether it's professionally or whether it's more independent, like making that song with friends. I'm running out of time, so I'll try not to talk too fast, but I've been reading this book called #GirlBoss, which I really like. Sophia Amoruso made Nasty Gal, and she has a really awesome story. But I loved this quote. I've been listening to it as an audiobook, and I kind of like have to pause on the street and like write down quotes from the book. And this is one of them. The energy you'll spend focusing on someone else's life is better spent working on your own. This is something I struggle with constantly, is like, okay, I want to make a new video. Am I going to go home and sit down and watch like all of these other videos that people are making, or am I just going to make a video myself? Or, oh, I didn't get as many views as that person, or I don't look as good as that person. It's kind of something that I always struggle with, so I thought maybe some of you struggle with that too. I just found this quote to be so spot on, of like, if I took all the time and energy of worrying about what everyone else was doing and just put it into my own stuff, then, you know, other people might be more concerned with how awesome my things are. Be uncomfortable. I was like beyond like scared of basically everything when I was moving here. I had never been to Europe before. I hated flying in a way where like I would throw up before I flew, like feeling sick and nervous, and just like I struggle with anxiety, and it would just be like, oh, I just really don't want to fly. And these are on like 2-hour flights. So all of a sudden moving, packing up my stuff, I had never lived on my own before because I had always been like living with someone else, so just moving across the world, and here I am by myself, felt kind of strange. Things along the way that I've done, it feels like even today speaking, I felt very uncomfortable and apprehensive. Even though I've spoken a lot of times, I got much more nervous when Linda asked me to do this, because I felt like, you know, this is a group of like really impressive women, and I'm not sure if I fit in, and I don't know if I am that great with tech stuff, and I kind of like exist in this weird space of myself, and like all of these kind of fears and worries and being uncomfortable. But being able to step into that and just like letting yourself feel that way has made all the difference for me. Just kind of jumping in, and yes, I'm totally uncomfortable and I'm nervous or whatever, but as long as it's in a safe sort of setting, then you don't have to worry about it and can just go with it. And I feel like I am like a completely different person than I was 3 years ago, because I've allowed myself to just kind of become comfortable in being uncomfortable, if that makes any sense. Okay, this video, it's really short, but I promise it's super short because now I'm getting really close to time. But this video is what helped me just kind of start making videos. I feel like if you didn't get anything from anything else I said, it's okay, because I think you will get something from this video. It's not mine. It's by a guy named Zay Frank. And I feel like this is exactly how I feel about ideas and kind of starting them and doing them. And he puts it into like the most perfect words. So I will hit this.
Good morning, sports racers. It's Tuesday, June 11th, and I still feel like a poo-poo. Hungry Hippo Licks Aunt Jemima writes, are you ever going to break into song again? Are you running out of ideas? Hungry Hippo Licks Aunt Jemima, that's a good question. I run out of ideas every day. Each day I live in mortal fear that I've used up the last idea that'll ever come to me. If you don't want to run out of ideas, the best thing to do is not to execute them. You can tell yourself that you don't have the time or resources to do them right. Then they stay around in your head like brain crack. No matter how bad things get, at least you have those good ideas that you'll get to later. Some people get addicted to that brain crack, and the longer they wait, the more they convince themselves of how perfectly that idea should be executed. And they imagine it on a beautiful platter with glitter and rose petals, and everyone's clapping for them. But the bummer is most ideas kind of suck when you do them. And no matter how much you plan, you still have to do something for the first time. And you're almost guaranteed the first time you do something, it'll blow. But somebody who does something bad 3 times still has 3 times the experience of that other person who's still dreaming of all the applause. When I get an idea, even a bad one, I try to get it out into the world as fast as possible, because I certainly don't want to be addicted to brain crack.
I will leave you this quote because I kind of put this on my desk and on different things. People are never more insecure than when they become obsessed with their fears at the expense of their dreams. Norman Cousins. This whole weekend is about making it, doing it, starting, just trying things out, experimenting. Maybe it will go horribly wrong and maybe it will go right, but it's not a failure if you're actually trying versus someone who's sitting there thinking about trying. That's me. I'm at Lydia Winters. Say hi to me after. I will be around, and thank you so much.